Great to see you all today on a slightly grey and drizzly morning. My name's Neil, as you don't know me. We've got Nigel, who's going to be emceeing for today. Some great sessions lined up for you today. We've got people from UK, Europe, some great sponsors as well you'll hear from and you'll see out there. So, any questions? Give one of the steering group a shout during the day. Myself, Nigel, Jim's over there as well, Chris in the t-shirt, and we've got our lovely events team out in the foyer as well. So hopefully have a great day. Over to Nigel, who's going to take you through the news.
I hope it's gin, because I need it, I think. Yeah. We didn't have enough beer last night, so it's, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here in Liverpool, and it's not raining as well. So, oh, good. Oh, I was going to say, because when we were in Manchester a couple of weeks ago, it never stopped the 3 days we were there. So I was just about to say how wonderful Liverpool is compared to Manchester, but that's the start anyway. So welcome, and there is Wi-Fi here, and for a change, there's no password. That's why it's not in there. It's the RCP Wi-Fi one rather than any of the RCP other ones on there. We start, of course, with thanking our sponsors. It's been quite amazing. We'll see that we've put 4 more sponsors on since the last one. Just going through them, we want a big shout out to them. We can't do these without having these sponsors who pay a lot of money to put this together, and you know, as a committee, steering committee, we do this all voluntary, but we have to have this done professionally, and the guys and girls from Outsource Events puts on an amazing job and paying for these things. So going through the sponsors very quickly, AWS, obviously, most people know Amazon. So, but no, they're here really with what they're doing with Amazon Workspaces and everything, so they're one of our platinum sponsors. You'll see them all out there. Please go and visit the stands, go and take all the goodies that they bring along as well. iGel here as a platinum sponsor. iGel used to do thin clients. Now they're very much around the software endpoint, and they do a huge job. I was at their event last week, which was fantastic as well. Access IT Automation, they're new to the fold this time, and that's all around application management, application life cycles. Going through the others, Liquid, we see very much around gathering those applications and creating application stores to be delivered. Nerdio's the management plane particularly for AVD. Login VSI, running and trying to understand what your applications are going to do, how they're going to run. If I get any of these wrong, please tell me, because I'm only guessing a lot of these. No, I use most of these in various things. Management Studios, very much about lifecycle management for applications. Please go and visit them. Stratadesk is a very small endpoint to allow access to remote desktops. ThinScale's all around security and managing that side. Look at Guy. And then Guy comes in, look. Yeah. Nothing yet, Guy, so... Yeah.
All you young people.
Aporto, new to the fold today as well, brilliant. They're around remote desktoping, very fast remote desktoping. EUC, we had a laugh about that because that's thin print to all of us who've been in the industry for years and years. And TenZig, physical end clients and a software end client as well. So that's all of our sponsors. Please go and see them. Make yourself aware to them. A big EUC welcome to the 4 new sponsors, let's say Access IT, Aporto, ESIP, and a welcome back to TenZig. We sort of lost them for an event, but they soon realised that they needed to be involved in this. So we've got them back, which is brilliant. So none of this happens without the steering committee. So here today, obviously you saw Neil speak earlier. Jim Moyles over there. Lee Jeffries here somewhere. Making yourself aware yet. James Rankin hasn't got out of bed yet because he doesn't. He was saying yesterday that he tends to get his children up. Yeah, gets his children up, goes back to bed and wakes up about 11. So we'll see him at some stage today. Neil McGoffin's over there. Shabazz is not here today. Chris Marks and me. So Chris is over there. Please go and see them if you've got any ideas, if there's things we're doing wrong, if there's things that we're doing right. Please tell us because we need to make these as good as possible. You'll find us on social media, of course. We do like to swamp LinkedIn, I think is fair enough to say. And that's usually where most of the stuff goes, but you'll see us on X. And there's a link there to be able to see it. Everything gets onto YouTube, our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to see all of these after the event. Now, this is really important. Getting sessions. I know there are some people over there that in the corner there who was going to, or over that way, who were going to submit a session for this one, but they haven't, so they can do one next time. We want sessions from particularly end users, but case studies, anything like that. Let's get as many of these as we can. We've got a big event in London we're going to talk about, and we want as many new sessions, people just telling us what you're doing so that it doesn't rely on us having to do sessions and talk about these things. So future events, these are subject to change, but we have booked the Fox next to DTX, next to the XL on October the 2nd. So anyone going to there, we have booked that. But it's subject to change, as I say, we are discussing things. Most important one is we have finalised and booked November the 26th. It's at the Minster Court in Bank, which is a superb place. It looks like it can hold 250 to 300 people. So we had 180 at the March one out of a registrations of 220. We had to pare down in the end. So this one we're trying to see if we can get to 250. That would be the aim. It would be the biggest event we've ever done. So get that in early, get your sessions in early as well, please. Morning agenda is, well, I'm not going to go through too much of this because I'm going to run out of time. But you'll see the way we work now with these EUC forums is we give the three big vendors a chance to speak. So we've got Microsoft first, Citrix, and then Broadcom, VMware, Omnicia, what do you want to call them today? So they'll be on there. Then I'll go around the ground, so I do the others. So I'm trying to make sure that we get all the EUC vendors involved in this, so we're adding them to them all the time. I'll do a quick update. Most of it's just on the slide, so you can see where we are. We probably going to change slightly around with some of the other ones, but we'll see that as they go through. The format of the day will be roughly the same time slots, but we may swap a couple of sponsor sessions around. Afternoon, we go through and continue on there. I'm not going to go through those. So post-event drinks, we are in there. So Novotel, we have the first floor of the Novotel from 5:30, I think it is. So we have a couple of hours there. Please do join us. No doubt the people who are staying over will then go off down towards the Albert Docks or somewhere, or Lime Street like we were last night, and continue on. So please come and join us for that. Okay, news from the industry. So then we get to the others. So we try and think of things that have happened since the last event we did. A few things just to do. What we do with these, we want to sort of raise them now, and we have a round table at the end where we want to discuss things. Some of these could be the things that we could discuss at the end. Gives you a chance to understand the sort of topics we want to talk about. So, Sean Bass is a new CTO for Cloud Software Group. So Sean was at VMware, and he's just joined recently to become CTO for the Citrix arm of Cloud Software Group. So we'll see a lot of information coming from him and all of his experience over the years. He was been a CTP for many, many years and knows the industry really well. So hopefully we'll be able to see a lot more of him. Google acquiring Cameo. If you don't know, Cameo is a browser-based remote desktop, remote application software, and they've been working with Google for a long time actually, and I've sort of done quite a bit of work with them, and they were acquired a week or two ago by Google. So Google getting into this, I always thought Citrix were going to be bought by Google, but that never happened. So it's interesting to see, one, that we're seeing acquisitions in the market, and two, the likes of Google coming into this, and it would be very interesting to see where they go with that. Anyone got any thoughts on them? Really interesting to hear. And then we've got the usual things, and yeah, we're an EUC forum here, but everything seems to be about security now, and we saw with the problems with the NHS London, with the part of SignLab Group got hacked. It meant that people could not be given blood. They didn't know, it couldn't be a test for blood, so that's why there was a massive push to try and get O negative or O blood across the world, across the UK, because O is the only one you can give to everyone. But one hack by seemingly a Russian group has caused enormous issues around there. Why is that important to us? Because they haven't actually raised how that has got in, but we've seen this before in whether that's legacy servers and legacy desktops, just insecure stuff. So everything we do around EUC, more and more will be focused on security and locking that down. So that gives us even more challenges, and it's probably quite a good discussion tonight. How are we being able to cope with that? So other things at Citrix. Sorry, Citrix. Anyone here from Citrix today? Over there. Sorry, I have to raise. Obviously one of the big things we're seeing at the moment is the price rises from Citrix. To be fair, that's not just Citrix. That's VMware have done the same thing. We're seeing it across the industry, and the way we're changing this is a good roundtable discussion. I'm sure a lot of the people around here are Citrix-based, and we would be really interested to see how that is affecting your businesses, your clients, etc. So on this, I won't talk too much about that because I'm sure the VMware Broadcom guys will tell you about those. So Omnis is the new name for that VMware EUC, Broadcom EUC piece. And then Microsoft have GA'd the new version of AppAttach. Well done, Jim. We have the product manager here for AppAttach here today, so no doubt that will come up in some of the things today. I don't know why that one's come back in, because I've already done that one. So there you go. And then we get to the speakers today. So although it was the Liverpool 13, I think it may be the Liverpool 12, but we'll see. It's about the Liverpool 13. So we had the Birmingham 5, the Manchester 6. So we went for the Liverpool 13. I won't go through these for speed today, but these are, getting this group of people along here to speak today is fantastic. Please listen to them. Please get involved. Question them, ask them why they're doing this, what they're doing, how they can do things. We just need as much interaction as possible with those. That's me done for the moment. So we go to Tom, is going to do the first one for an update around Microsoft. Thank you.
Good morning. So, for those that don't know me, my name's Tom Hickling. I'm a PM at Microsoft. Myself and Jim constitute the entire EMEA product group between us. There are some other Microsoft people here. There's Ian and Paul, and I think that's probably it. Oh, and sorry, I don't Dave. Nice to meet you, Dave. So I've got 10 minutes, probably 9.5 by now, just to fire through what's new since the last time we met in relation to AVD and Windows 365. So this is going to be very much a whistle-stop tour of our new recent updates. So First one is contextual client device redirection via Intune. So what this enables is to be able to have contextual client device, as the name suggests, redirection into the session host within a host pool. So we will check for things like group membership, device status, and then be able to redirect certain devices into the sessions. So now you can have different settings for different users on the same host pool. Previous to this, it was just a one-size-fits-all. So you had this direction for every user into every VM in this particular host pool. So lots of customers have asked for this. It's a shame we haven't had it before, but now we've got this capability. Well, in fact, it's in public preview. So everything that's in public preview should go GA roughly in about 3 months from that time frame that you see there. So that supports Windows, iOS, and Android on the new Windows app, which is our new all-encompassing holistic client, as well as the remote desktop client. Hibernate and resume with AVD autoscaling for personal host pools. So Azure has this capability of hibernating virtual machines where we write the memory to disk and then deallocate the VM. When the VM comes back up, the memory is rehydrated to the VM and off you go from where you left off. So we now support that inside of auto-scaling so that you can obviously achieve the same thing. Whenever the VM is deallocated, you are no longer being charged for the compute element of the virtual machine. The disks still will be charged for, and there's stuff coming in the future to mitigate the costs associated with those disks. But now you can specify in the auto-scaling policy, log off or disconnect to then go and hibernate those virtual machines. Yes, question?
Can you already flip the switch? Because I know that in the beginning there was a requirement that you have to create the machine itself already with the hibernation enabled. And it should be a new machine. You cannot enable it on existing machines. Is that still the case?
On new ones, yes.
Only new ones?
Yeah.
And can you change the SKU already?
You can change the SKU in Azure, yeah.
With hibernation enabled?
Yeah. There's a new feature coming along that will enable you to do that inside of AVD natively. So I'm not sure if we talked about it before, but there's a feature coming, session host update. Both Jim and myself have spent years working on that feature, and it's going to reach GA at some point. That will enable you to change the SKU size of it.
I promise public preview soon.
Lovely.
Said that last year.
Microsoft soon.
So moving on, autoscale and start VM on Connect for AVD on Azure Stack. So Azure Stack on-prem, Azure Stack HCI on-prem hyperconverged infrastructure, enabling you to have lower latency, data sovereignty for your data, obviously, when you've deployed this on-prem with the benefits of Azure. AVD is a supported workload. We've now rolled out auto-scaling and start VM on Connect. App attach, as we've already mentioned. Now this is probably I'd say the most important update, not just because Jim is here and has delivered this, but obviously the whole reason that we're all having jobs in this industry is to connect applications to users. That's what makes organizations successful. And this has enhanced that whole feature. So there's a number of new capabilities. The main one is that we can now present applications to users. So I think that on its own is probably the best thing ever, so congratulations, Jim, on that. But also you can assign multiple apps to multiple host pools, as I said, to users, reduces your need for multiple host pools, multiple images, saves your costs, so it's all goodness. It supports Entra ID, so no longer just Active Directory, so it makes your whole application management lifecycle a whole lot easier. Conditional access. So we've got a new component in conditional access policies that enforces re-authentication every time. So at the moment, the minimum is 15 minutes, which for some customers that's not frequent enough. So now every time there's a new subscription or a feed refresh, that's basically when you click refresh in the client, there's a new session, a reconnection, the network's dropped out and you're forced to reconnect. If you set this to every time, then you'll need to provide your credentials through that conditional access policy to be able to be provided access. Clipboard, copy direction and data types. So up until this point in time, clipboard direction, in fact, all device redirection was just on or off from clients to the host port. Everybody got the same. Now we support unidirectional clipboard redirection. So obviously up to the session only or down to your device only. So depending upon which direction works for you and your security stance, you can go and specify that. And then we also support the bit more granular access around what types of data. So combinations of, as you can see there, plain text, images, rich text format, and HTML only. So you can specify what it is that you want to be redirected and in which direction. Okay, moving on to Windows 365 then. So we've already been able to integrate with Citrix and VMware, Omnicia. You go to those the portals of both of those to be able to then go and create Azure VMs, which end up being Windows 365 VMs. But the management is all done in the control plane of your choice, effectively. And then you also connect through the clients from Citrix and VMware. And basically the entire experience is native inside of those products, also using HDX and the BLAST protocol. So we're rolling out the same type of capability for HP Anywhere, who bought Teradici, to be able to do exactly the same thing. So you will go to an HP Anywhere portal, say, I want X number of VMs. That actually gets passed over to the Windows 365 APIs. We go and deploy the virtual machines in Azure for you. They can be managed in Intune in exactly the same way as Intune manages any other device. You will then be accessing those VMs using Teradici. And you will be using HP gateways wherever they deploy those globally. So they are currently rolling out those gateways. So it's exactly the same thing as Citrix and VMware. You'll be using the Citrix Cloud gateways distributed wherever they are around the world. So if you are looking at HP Anywhere integration or you need Teradici, but you want the benefits of Azure Windows 365 Intune, now you can do it. Well, you can. It's in public preview at the moment. So again, GA in a few months. Okay, forensic evidence in Windows 365. So this is an integration with an existing Azure service called Purview, which is a sort of a security suite of capabilities. And enables you to create policies around what you want to be managing and recording for security-related activities. So you would go and create one of these policies in Purview, specify the things that you're worried about to be detected, events and triggers that would then kick off things like the ability to then go and capture what's happening on the end user's screen. So Citrix have had that capability for some time, screen recording. So it's effectively that baked into this separate product inside of Azure called Purview that you can then go and now integrate with Windows 365. So there's a whole authorization process. So you would go and create this policy and it would sit there. If it detects that there's a security issue, then there's a management process to go through. That can be auto-approved, but there needs to be at least 2 administrators for each of these requests. And then things like, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, that screen recording session has started. Okay, that was it. I actually got I've got 40 seconds spare, so a bit of a whistle-stop tour. Any questions before? Hand back to Neil. I'm here all day. Jim's obviously here. There's lots of Microsoft people here. So if you do have any questions or suggestions, reach out to us. The final thing I would say is that the product group, we only develop features that customers are asking for. And the more that they get asked for, the higher chances that they get developed. So it's not something that I think up or Jim thinks up, although we do have lots of great features in our minds, but it has to come from a customer effectively. Ian works in the team that gathers that information from customers all around the world. So if you do have feedback, reach out to anybody and it will eventually find its way through Microsoft to our team and then we will consider it. Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Well done, Tom. I'm just checking these work as well, so that we'll be using these at some stage during the day. So, right, next one is Citrix, I believe, isn't it? So there we go. We live on with yourself. You have 10 minutes to explain where we are with where Citrix are and latest news.
Hi everyone, a very good morning, and thanks to first of all Neil and the steering team for helping me join remotely. Unfortunately, I couldn't join in person, which I really wanted to, but just because of the medical here I'm joining remotely, right? So just confirm me once you can start seeing my screen.
Yeah, we can see.
So a very quick introduction. My name is Rishabh and I'm the product manager here at Citrix. I take care specifically from the Citrix cloud perspective, but I'm here to talk about what new we have in Citrix and what do we think from next point of view we have from the Citrix side. I think to start with is this goes without saying, right? That hybrid is everywhere when it comes to the world of end user computing, right? And it all starts with the hybrid work, the employees who are connecting from anywhere in the world, whether they are at home, whether at remote, branch, offices, it really doesn't matter because of the strike that we had from the COVID that kind of accentuated everything. And so is the case with the customers deploying their workloads. It can be on premises at the data center, it can be hosted on cloud. I think when we say cloud, AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google comes in the picture. And the same applies when the customers want to have the choice of their hybrid identity, right? They can use the Azure directory or they can use the AAD or now the Internet ID to get the users integrate to the resources that the end user is going to consume. And similarly, the choice for hybrid workspaces, whether they want to use the Windows application, web or SaaS application, Linux thin clients and everything, right? And even if we talk about from the hybrid networking and hybrid devices experience, it's free for the end user to choose from. They want to use the thin client, they are happy to do so. They want to use the laptop, be it your Windows, be it your Mac, Linux, it really doesn't matter. It's up to the end user which devices they want to get work onto. And same is the case for the networking experience. On-premises and multi-cloud networks are present in the industry to get the leverage onto. So basis on this as a base, I think I think we have spoken about in the last EUC meeting as well, that the essence of the strategy from Citrix and the priorities which are evolving and which are there from the roadmap point of view are all centered at the hybrid multi-cloud perspective. And there are 4 pillars to it. The inherent zero trust, because we cannot let the end user just to make some mistake by their own and later on get the cost passed on to the company, right? So from end user security perspective, from the company's asset perspective, the inherent zero trust is important. And we have solution, the secure private access, the CTNE solution that we have. And I'll be talking more about it in the next slides. Then the automation and intelligence, because the customers do want to have the benefit of, maybe from the consumption point of view, from making a choice, then how do we want to automatically, intelligently do the workspace or the workloads in their environment. And when we think about hybrid multi-cloud, definitely the cost and the sustainability of the overall power consumption, overall cost comes into picture. And all of this cannot be tied without the next generation experience, which is essentially how the end user is going to see when they start consuming the resources which is being offered by Citrix, by the customers, right? A very quick slide on how the overall, I would say it's a Citrix on a page, which essentially talks about what are the different components the customers would need in order for their end users to connect to the resource. It all starts with the end user and endpoints, the network and access component, and apps and desktop. I think I'll not spend much time here because we have a couple of slides to talk about, and Neil, just keep me honest with my time. To start with, I think this is what you heard, that Zen server is back. We have investment on in the Zen server, which is the most optimized hypervisor for Citrix working. But what's new this time is the licenses perspective of the Zen server. So you must have heard from our GM, Shridhar, that the Zen server 8 premium is now included in all the 3 Citrix subscriptions. So we have 3 license schemes, right? The Citrix platform license, the universal license, and the Citrix private cloud. Now Zen server would be available. There are conditions onto which it would be decided where it would fall from the licensing perspective, but it is available as a part of the overall subscription that Citrix is a company. The next is about the Microsoft, the 8-year-long strategic partnership that Citrix and Microsoft has signed back in April. And this is just to enable and accelerate whatever the joint collaboration that we have for the customers And it is going to be really applicable for the 100 million people, right? Which from the joint customer perspective, Citrix and Microsoft has. And even the Citrix, the cloud software group has made an investment of $1.6 billion just to accelerate the Microsoft cloud and its Gen AI capabilities for the customers and for Citrix, right? So it is one of them, just wanted to call out. Now, what I'll be doing, I'll be just talking about the all 4 pillars that I just talked about from the priorities point of view and what all we are doing in these aspects, right? So I'll start with the inherent zero trust. And when we talk about the zero trust, the ZTNA solution comes in, right? And ZTNA solution is in there, the secure private access via the Citrix enterprise browser is key proposition from Citrix. And just to give you a context, Citrix enterprise browser is a endpoint client, a solution, right, which the end user, via the end user would be able to access their web or internal SaaS applications. And recently we have developed quite a number of things, starting from the custom extension support for the TEB or the Citrix enterprise browser, the independent way of upgrading the Citrix enterprise browser, because even though it's embedded within the Citrix workspace app as of now, but still you can update the Citrix endpoint browser independently in respect of the workspace application version. Then the single simplified sign-on capabilities for the on-premises with the global app config servers, which is essential for the customers to push the endpoint settings on the user devices. And a lot of things has gone into picture from the overall experience enhancements when it comes to for the user once they get to the workspace app to the Citrix enterprise browser, the overall experience around it. And I'm happy to talk more about it if anyone is interested on it. As the CEB is based out of the Chromium-based browser, so it has all the latest and the greatest capabilities attached to it. And same applies for the different auth methods, which is applicable from Citrix enterprise browser perspective. With hybrid in the mind, I think it's worth calling out that secure private access is now supported on the on-premises components of Citrix as well, which is the Citrix on-prem storefront and the on-premises NetScaler. There is inhibit and integrated capabilities around the way the admin is going to configure it. We have the overall monitoring capabilities for the customer, where they can troubleshoot, where they can see what all their, from the consumption perspective, secure private access as a solution from Citrix side. So yeah, I mean, it's worth calling out that we have the on-premises solution now and leveraging the Citrix ZTNA solution to secure private access. Now talking about the automation and the intelligence components. The first one is the public preview of the auto-scale insight, which is essentially the way the customers can compare their actual historical usage of their capacity, right? When the auto-scale as a feature has been enabled for the DAS usage. The overall idea or overall proposition is that the customer admin would be able to make aspects on the cost, the overall user experience, and if they want to just analyze how the overall these 2 factors are getting into picture, it's a great way for the admins to get into the insights of the the usage and make a data-driven decisions around it. So it's in public preview, so I would encourage everyone to go ahead and start communicating about it. You start using it. From the then another part from the cost part point of view is the Azure hibernation, right? So just think of a situation when the VM has been suspended just because it's not in use, but the customer end user would get onto it and want to get to resume. They can get to a same state where they had it resumed or they had it suspended when they don't want to, and then they don't want to using it, right? So it's a way for optimizing the cost, right, and improving the overall login performance, and improving the overall sustainability for the customers and for the end user as well. So there will be a next phase coming to it, the public tech preview, and the further enhancement, which is letting the customer admin to control the way the end user is going to use it, support of many other use cases from the end user perspective, whether it's a notification, how the customer admin would be getting to know on all these aspects. So again, a public tech preview feature from the cost perspective. Now, the next generation experience, right? Because the end user and how the customers are leveraging all the overall components of Citrix from the solution perspective. The first one is around the Citrix gateway services now available for the on-premises storefront. I mean, it's a use case around where the customers, let's say, wants to deploy a secondary site, right, or a VDA in the secondary site, let's say Azure in this case. and they do not have the on-premises storefront over there, right? So they do not want to, or they will not be required to deploy a gateway appliance in that case, the on-premises gateway version. They can simply leverage the gateway services and have their on-premise component talk to it for the direct access and for different access components of the end user experience. So it's a public preview feature. We are expecting it to be go live in next couple of months. Then the new on-premises storefront UI. I think the workspace customers or the customers who are using the cloud components of Citrix, what we have done in the case of this new on-prem UI, we have literally transitioned the way the end user is experiencing the workspace today as of now for the cloud components. So the same UI is going to get on the on-premises as well, the on-premises storefront. And it has plethora of features to talk about, right? From simplified navigation point of view, there is an enhancement in the search as well. Activity Manager is one of the key enhancements that we have done to control the session, irrespective of the devices they are working on to. And even for the management of their desktop session, if they want to log off from the UI itself, they can do it for their sessions. If they want to resume from there, they can do it. They can hibernate, and all these aspects are there. So yes, I mean, the overall idea is to support the customers where they are, irrespective they're using the on-premises, they're using the cloud. The end user is going to have the same UI, irrespective of the deployment type. I think most sought after feature for our customers, the intra-ID single sign-on support for the SGX session. It's in private preview as of now, and I think the use case is quite common to us, and we do know that the requirement and the way Microsoft have changed the way the SSO works for their on-premises component and the cloud component. The enhancements or the support of the same has to be supported by Citrix as well. So this is primarily targeted for those particular use cases where the single sign-on capabilities with the Azure AD or the intra-ID is required for the SGX session. A private tech preview feature again would be soon going public tech preview into GA this year. When it comes to the overall graphics, the SGX session graphics, we are excited to call out that we have a new video codec in place, which is AV1, and it has multiple enhancements over the previous or the existing codec, the H246 codec of SGX, right? So I think with this new AV1 codec, there will be a support for the latest technologies around the 4K and 8K displays. Even the high display resolution would be something which will come automatically with AV1. And the good part is that the CWA client or the workspace app, which the end user would install on the device, would negotiate with the VDA in order to select the video codec in this case, right? Depending on the bandwidth, depending on the configuration, depending on all the external factors, the client would automatically decide which codec to use, whether the AV1 or the already existing H264. So the overall experience for the end user is seamless, irrespective of the bandwidth quality. So it's available from 23/11 onwards, and we are hearing good feedbacks around it, and there has been significant improvement in the overall graphics for the customers. Then the multiple site aggregation for tasks, right? So here we have gone ahead with the hub and spoke model, where the customers would be able to aggregate the multiple task sites that they have in place. And the ultimate idea is with the hub URL, the workspace end user would be able to access the resources, irrespective they have the integration around the task tenants, multiple task tenants, right? The administrator can enable it for the multiple tenants through a single monitor or studio interface, which is available today for the cloud customers. It is currently in public tech preview, and the idea is to go private, the GA in the next month or so. Conditional authentication, I think that's the native capability that we have bringing for the Citrix cloud customers, where the customers would be able to apply the different IDP types depending on the different policies, right? It could be the workspace URL, it could be the user domain, it could be the user group. So these are the few policies which would be leveraged in order for the customers to decide how the end user is going to authenticate and via which IDP. Even though we support the multiple IDPs already in place, but this is a native capability that we are bringing on the Citrix cloud. And the other benefit of it is that the customers do not really require to use the adaptive auth service, which is again, essentially for the customers to select the different IDP type for their end user, if they are the workspace customer or the cloud customers. HTX Direct, I think we spoke about it in the last EUC meeting back in London as well. So it's currently in public preview, more of a feature for customers to allow clients to have a direct connection and the secure connection to the session host directly. Whenever the bandwidth is available, whenever the connection is available. So they do not need to negotiate with the gateway services or all the middle component which the customers have deployed. So it is for overall improvement in the experience from the session host perspective, from the session login perspective. In public tech preview, again, the idea would be to go GA at earliest this year. And I mean, so far I've talked about what all we have been doing. There are a lot to talk about, but just because of the limited time we have, I have just called out the hero features that we have working on to or are in the public tech preview state. There is 2 or 3 slides more which we'll be talking about what else we have delivered. So the first one is around the support of user group with the global app config service. Again, the global app config service as of now were limited only to the URL, right? Even though we have support for the multiple stores. But what we are done now this time is that the user group as a policy can again be applied for the global app config service. In public tech preview would be GA soon. And for when it comes to the client apps and the desktop or in mobile, we have a number of features which I've just called out here. For the Windows, it's the revamping toolbar, the in-session support for the strength of a signal. Similarly, for Mac and Linux, more or less the same, the secure HTX, HTX Direct, and different ways of improving the end user experience are the few enhancements that we have done in the case of Citrix app for desktop, which includes your which includes your Windows, Mac, and Linux. In mobile, the Android, we have the support for the derived credential by interest. For the iOS, there's zero support for the Mac VDF, which we have just recently released as a public tech preview. And the new certifications, the support for the stage manager, multi-session windows, webcam support, and even for the Chrome and OS and HTML5, few enhancements around the way the EDT and TCP are going to be checked by the client itself, the way the auto discovery is going to happen for the EDT, and single sign-on support, all essentially centered around the 4 pillars that I talked about in the starting.
Rishabh,
yes,
perfect. I was just about to say it's time to get on to the next one, and thank you so much for coming on. I know you weren't feeling too good, so really appreciate you joining us, and thanks for the update.
Oh yeah, thank you, Neil, again once again. I'm sticking around just in case if anybody has any question. Feel free to have a chat.
Lovely, thanks then.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Sorry, we're running slightly out of sync, but I don't like to disturb people when they're in good flow. But the next one's Charles from VMware, Broadcom, Omnis. What would you like to be called today? There. Excellent. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That might have just got your attention, even if you don't listen to the next few slides. That's that's me jumping onto our friends at Bing Image Creation to work out what would be a northern powerhouse associated with a digital workspace and something to do with Liverpool. Strange enough, it came up with a lovely picture of United. Not that I'm a United fan or anything like that. Boo-hoo. Anyway, for the next kind of 10 minutes or so, I just want to give you an update in all things Broadcom, EUC, VMware, Omnissa, take your pick, whichever one you want. What's happening in the market, and what's kind of putting some kind of fact around some of the uncertainty we're hearing out there as well. So if you're all sitting comfortably, I'll crack on and we'll see where we take with this. First things first, I have to do the obligatory legal slides. Don't shoot me, it's just what I have to do. So basically, back in November 2023, Broadcom acquired VMware, as you all know. Within a couple of months, a month or so, Hock Tan, CEO of Broadcom, said he was going to divest EUC. And in February of this year, KKR, a large private equity organisation, came out and said they're going to put a definitive agreement on the table to purchase end-user computing and take it into its own single entity. Personally speaking, I think that's the right thing to do. I'm not just saying it because that's where we're heading. I genuinely think it is. I think it's a great place for a company which is focused on people just to end up. It's just about setting its own charter and its own destination. I think it's the right thing to do to be standalone. So with that being said, I simply have 3 things I want to talk to you about today, okay? Number 1, KKR. Number 2, this lovely acronym called VVF for VDI. And number 3, this thing which we've heard about called Omnissa. First of all, let's get a Mexican way started. Who recognises all those devices? Go on, show of hands. Okay, excellent. Which tells me 1 or 2 things. Either all too old to be in IT now, or there's a lot of shy people in the room who just don't admit to knowing all those different devices. What I love about each one of those devices is it set the foundations for the next iteration of kind of change, and we've probably all got stories whereby we've had lots of experience with these different devices and things which, you know, the compact iPack, which started off as that thick, to something which started and ended up with that thick with a battery pack on it and GPS jackets. We've all been there, we've all got lots of stories to tell. But for me, I put Omnissa on the Apple Vision Pro there purely because the Apple Vision Pro is set to start a new kind of uncharted course. And for me, that's what Omnissa is doing. It's going out there with a great foundation, looking to plot its new course. So, February this year, okay, KKR came out and said, we're going to acquire EUC from Broadcom. Exciting time for us inside EUC because it gave us some certainty about where we're heading as an organisation, but also for our partners and customers, it gave them a bit of clarity in terms of what's heading, what's coming their way, what to expect. From our perspective, however, there's been an awful lot of noise, shall we just say that, on social media channels, okay, about what private equity does. Private equity, it strips, asset strips, it takes capital, it reduces headcount. Yes, some private equity firms do that. But if you look at probably one of the best private equity firms out there, KKR, it probably is it's the longest standing one that's been out there, best reputation. You cannot simply acquire organisations and keep stripping them and have a strong reputation in the marketplace to do that. So as an organisation, we're pretty comfortable with what's actually being proposed to us. KKR, a quick show of hands, who actually knows of the company KKR? Yes, a few. I expected you to say that, Mark. Given that Mark is owned by, obviously it's Parallels and Corella is owned by KKR, was part of their portfolio. Who knows Sonos? So Sonos, yep, Sonos. Epic Games, so Fortnite, E3G Gaming, Barracuda, BMC, all parts of the KKR portfolio. That doesn't mean to say I can get you a soundbar, and it doesn't mean to say I can get you any V-Books either. But nonetheless, it's a great place for us to end up in terms of our future direction. What's going to change and what isn't going to change, okay? So I want to get that out there straight away. There's going to be no change in terms of product strategy. We have defined our autonomous workspace as the way we wish to operate. That's going to continue to operate, and that's continues to be our guiding principles. Product continuity and availability. There will be no sunsetting of products. There will be no price hikes increasing, going across the board. We've been told that already. The EUC leadership team remains in situ, but also with the backing of KKR board of directors as well, so we can call on them and our wider community to be able to support EUC/Omnissa going forward. What can you therefore expect? You can expect to see a recruitment drive. We are currently on wave 3 of our recruitment drive because, as you can imagine, we're having to stand up a brand new trading entity across the whole of the globe. It's quite a challenge. So, we've had quite a tight timeline to get this done. So we're on way through the recruitment. We're still going to recruit more. So we're not stripping headcount. We're actually looking to bolster it. Dedicated go-to-market function. Great. What does that mean to you? More resources, more people that care about your products and your solutions to get it working. And what else? We've got more regional and industry-specific focus events. I think, events like this and also more kind of vertical focus activities are what you'll expect to see from this as well. It really is kind of where we're wanting to take the market. For me, I was talking to Ian about this before, my old colleague from in reseller world. For me, this is an exciting proposition. It's not very often you get the chance to be part of something where you steer the ship in a different direction. There's only a few times when the companies have been acquired whereby you actually become part of that leadership team to actually change and pivot the direction and the course of that organisation. Exciting time. Yes, it's going to be painful. We're ramping up the work, the new systems. We're ramping up new people. We're ramping up the partner programs. Everything you could ever imagine as if you're starting up a new organisation. However, the one difference being we have 4,000 people and we have a strong annual recurring revenue and install base already. So we're not quite the startup you'd expect. So, lovely acronym, okay? VVF or VDI. Anybody aware of that one? Okay, so a good few hands out there. Basically, EUC and Broadcom came to a definitive agreement that post-divestiture, EUC can continue to sell in terms of their bundle offerings, VVS and vSphere, VMware vSphere Foundation for VDI for Horizon workloads. So moving forward, you can buy this in named user or concurrent users. The only kind of changes on this are we are licensed on a per gig, per core basis moving forward. That's not a restriction. You can add to it as you grow. What do you get when you get vSphere for VVF for VDI? I can never get it right myself. vSphere Enterprise Plus, we get vCenter Advanced and also vSAN Enterprise 100 gigs per core. What does that mean? I'll try and keep things as simple as possible. That means in a simple example, which is what I like to do, a server with 80 cores overall, a server farm estate there, you can run as many virtual machines as you wish on that hosting infrastructure as you so wish. In terms of your storage, 80 cores times 100 gig, 8 terabytes of storage. If you, in this case, divide that by 1,000 users, each user gets 80 gigabytes of storage. If you need to increase and grow on demand, you can do so by adding more cores into the environment. Quite a straightforward principle to move forward. So price hikes are not going to go up. Continuation of vSphere with Horizon. You can buy it without Horizon, without vSphere, depending on your architecture requirements at the point in time. But a point to note here, continuation of service at the right price. So, Omnissa, not Omnissia or Omnissa or whatever else we get called. Omnissa, okay, that is the name of the organisation, Omnissa. This is our landing page as it sits at the moment, okay? I guess you'd call it the minimal viable products as a platform for us. At the moment, there's lots of stuff sitting behind the scenes, as you'd expect, once we go live with the organisation, and it is in touching distance. Now, I can promise you, I can't tell you the actual date. I think it's been recorded, maybe this session, so I can't say those dates. Maybe grab a beer and I might be able to share that with you. But it's in touching distance. You can reach out with so close to the finishing line. So a lot more data is sitting behind this and will go live as and when the organisation goes live itself. Why do we choose Omnissa? I have no idea, okay? But what I do know is we went out to the partner community, we went out to employees, and we went out to our customers and said, what did you want, or what do you believe is the right type of traits and capabilities for EUC? And they came back with about 7 or 8 different, grit, determination, resilience, all the ones you'd ever expect. And they came up with the magic name of Omnissa somehow. Jury's out for a lot of people what it means. I don't really care. It's a brand to me. It's something I go to work for, and it's something I will continue offering the right type of services for. So, if you've not listened to anything for the last 9 minutes, I believe, or 9.5 minutes, I just have 3 key takeaways for you to go away with, okay? We have a strong R&D focus still, okay? So the innovation engines are churning away at the back end at the moment. We have a 4-year roadmap which has been committed to by KKR in terms of technologies and business outcomes as well, and they're standing behind that. So the investment is there, the roadmap is there. We have a clear technical strategy where we wish to get to, and we're quite happy to do roadmap sessions with you. We have a strong order book, so thank you to our partners, and thank you to our customers as well. What does that mean? It means we have a strong annual recurring revenue, which is the great metric which most of the stock markets wish to see. That means we can actually drive back into the R&D engine as well. So what we know in terms of funding and revenues coming in, we can start to commit back to R&D. And we are not going anywhere with our partner community. We need the partners to carry on driving our message. We will enable you. We have new partner messaging. We have new partner programs kicking off as well. But what it does mean, and this is great news for our partner community, I believe, coming after spending 15 years in the partner community myself, is now we're detached from VMware. We have the ability to actually go off and look at broader technical partnerships as well. So read into about what you want without me getting kind of a P45 from this session, but read into about what you wish about being able to broaden out our capabilities for landing platforms for Horizon potentially. I don't normally end on quotes, but the one thing which VMware, Broadcom, Omnissa, you name it, has gone through a lot in the last kind of year and a half, 18 months, is change. Okay, so I looked for analogy and a change statement from Manchester United. I couldn't find one apart from you learn from your failures. Didn't really want to end on that note. So Nelson Mandela, okay, so I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sails to reach my destination. That's exactly what we're doing in Omnissa now. We know where we want to get to, and we need your support to get there. Okay, I'll be around for the rest of the day. Any questions, please do come and ask me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions, as well as my colleague over there, Jack. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Charles. That's really appreciated, and you did it on time as well, which is better than I have so far. So there you go. So we are running a little bit behind. We'll delay coffee for about 10 minutes, but we want to sort of try and keep on schedule. So I'm going to do a very quick news around the grounds. So this is really trying to look at the other EUC vendors, try to give everybody a bit of time, because the one thing we're seeing in the market now is it's not just about Citrix, it's not just about VMware or Microsoft. Various people are trying out different methodologies, there's a lot of hybrid out there. So we need to discuss and make sure that we have all of the options so that you're aware of everything that's going on. So what I would say is there's a lot of content on these slides. These are updates, so I'm not going to go through too many of them. All I would say, Neil from Nerdio is here and his team. They've got a new version out. He and his team, please go and visit him. They will tell you all about all of these excellent. There's over 30 new features since the last version we had in the last update session. Please go and see him. Some amazing sort of features on there that allows really that management of AVD to give that added level that we require if we're looking at AVD solutions. But please do go and see Neil around there. Likewise, AWS, I really need Chris and Jim's PowerPoint session because I copied and pasted this morning because I'm lazy and realised just how rubbish the slides do when you sit in there and thinking, oh, I knew I should have done that. But yet again, John and the AWS team are over here. They've got a booth. They could tell you all of the new features that they've been doing around their update since the last one. Please, yet again, go and see them, see what they're up to. Parallels, Chris, where's Chris? There, see, I can't see you. It's not many, don't know why I can't see it, but Chris, so a little bit more explanation, but yet again, please go and see Chris if you want to know some more about Parallels. They've gone GA with some really cool updates actually around Parallels, the sort of auto agent stuff, the IGEL ready, so and a lot around the Nutanix piece. So yet again, you'll get all of these slides, but you know who to speak to if you need to get any more details. Dizion, Frame, so the Dizion are another option for, they've been around for a while. They got spun out of Nutanix and were then Frame or Nutanix Frame, and now part of Dizion. Yet again, they focus a lot on IBM Cloud. They're bringing partner programs together, so we'll probably see more and more of these coming into the UK. So if you haven't sort of seen or heard them, you'll start hearing more of them. Just different ways of doing it. Long established. There is quite a few customers I know of Frame around in the UK now, but I'm sure we'll see a lot more of those around. And then the two new ones. Porto, as I say, thanks for they're sponsoring us now. So go and see and speak to the guys here from Porto. Andy and Phil are here, and they're very much around. Assume you've got as much bandwidth as you need so that you don't need to offload those things like Teams and everything and do the processing on the server side and make it easy to manage. So we'll see more and more type of these ones. And also WorkSpot, they are starting to create a lot of noise in the business around the UK. They've just run Siemens Energy as a big a client they've just won. They've created a channel in the UK, so we're hopefully in time they'll be sponsoring this as well. But we want to make sure that we add them. If anybody else has got any other EUC provider that you're actually using and you want us to include, please say, because then we'll add them to the list. That's me done. I wanted to make sure that's really quick so that we can get on, and that was